Leslie Todd is an experienced mental health professional in Baton Rouge and joins us now. Leslie, you named your psychotherapy business Strategies for Change because you believe decision-making is one of our greatest human powers. A lot of soul-searching and decision-making going on right now. Let's discuss what we know about the characteristics of mass shooters.
Okay. One of the characteristics of mass shooters is that they study other mass shooters. So we might say that mass shooting is contagious. And that's also true of suicide with adolescents, but let's talk just about the mass shooters for a minute. We've had 300 already, more than 300 so far this year. And so they inspire each other, which is terrifying.
Right.
And when you think of how much internet chatter there is and stations like 4chan and places where they can find each other, they study each other. Another thing that they have in common is childhood trauma. Now, that may not have been inflicted directly by their parents. We're not saying that all these parents are terrible people. It could be that there was domestic violence, which is common, but it could also be other unfortunate things that have happened. An unstable beginning in life also affects your brain. And there may be some other characteristics of the child that leads them to being bullied. Very unfortunately, a child with a learning disability, a stutter, might inspire the other children to bully them. When there is childhood trauma, children blame themselves. Mm-hmm. So children who might grow up in alcoholic homes or have been sexually abused or have lived through other traumas may blame themselves. So with this self-hatred, it can turn into suicide, but it can also then be externalized into who's responsible for my feeling so badly.
Right.
And these people, these shooters, will externalize it onto a group.
And that's what we're seeing in many cases.
So it could be, in the case of Buffalo, black people or my classmates at Uvalde or in Colorado, all those ones. So many of the school shootings, it's their classmates.
Right.
So they externalize that, and it's really a form of suicide, but they're going to bring other people with them.
Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, what can we do to look for signs and to try to stop this epidemic?
Well, the first thing I always want to say is that people who have mental illnesses are by far mostly not violent people. That's very important. So it's a small minority of people. In fact, these school shooters, only 16% of them are psychotic. Okay. Also, they may not have a diagnosable mental illness at the time they do this thing. So, and when you remember that 50% of all Americans have a diagnosis at some point of a mental illness,
sure.
So we have to be careful with that. But we do have to have a lot more mental health services available around schools and in communities, because they may need services at those places outside their home if their home's very dysfunctional. Mm-hmm. Or their parents just don't see the need for doing it. And part of that is we're in denial about the people we love having a problem. So they may not see it. And
if you're looking for red flags, then, well,
the
family might be in denial about that.
And I want to say that with love and compassion, because it's very hard for parents today to know what their kids are doing. Okay? You can't raise a child today and know what they're doing on the internet or know what their friends are teaching them or
Sure.
whatever. It's completely out of control with that. So with all compassion, I want to say that, there's that issue as well, that parents may not know what's going on. But we also know that 90% of these school shooters target their own school. So it's in the school's best interest to have really good eyes on the children, right, to see if there's troubled children there. And we need to get a lot more resources in place in the schools or the communities
there
to
aren't
have
enough
that.
Now.
No, but then it costs money.
Sure.
And people don't want their taxes going up, so they won't fund this. And I am saying, you want change? Mm-hmm. We're going to have to change how we look at the problem and fund those things. And we also need to remember, no one looks at a child, a troubled child, and says, that's a monster.
Right.
They say that after the trigger is pulled.
Right.
So it's hard to look at a child and see that, but we have to see that's a troubled child.
We've got to look inside, and we've got to make some decisions. Yeah. Leslie Todd, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate it.